Hi, it's Selene here with at Murray Designs with my freshly showered and with my most recent finished object. I had the pleasure of being able to preview test or preview knit. So in the test knitting world, there's kind of two categories. There's test knitting where a pattern may or may not have been tech edited and a designer selects testers for various sizes and various reasons to knit the product or the design and report any errors, give them feedback, etc., track yarn usage. And that is primarily what I do. But for one designer in particular that I work with, she does what she calls preview knits. So the pattern has been designed, it has been tech edited, and then she sends it out to people to preview knit during the release process. So there's some pros and cons to this. This particular knitter or designer is excellent at producing patterns that are very clear, concise, super user-friendly. So that's why I preview knit for her. I have preview knit for designers that do not do those things, and then it feels more like test knitting. And it feels kind of hard for me to recommend a pattern that is available for purchase if it isn't great. So, because it's money you're spending. And there's honestly, in my opinion, nothing worse than spending money on a pattern that is poorly written. And it's hard to know. There's, unless you read project notes or you come and watch videos like mine. So anyhow, this is the Balsam Point Hat, which is designed by Carrie Bloomer of Carrie Knits on Instagram. And here it is. So mine did end up a little bit taller than I had hoped. But I do love it. I love the slight gradient of the yarn, which I'll talk about here in a minute. So this pattern includes a very basic twisted stitch and would be fantastic for that beginner knitter who is looking for kind of the next step. How Carrie had us do the twisted stitches, the left and right twists, is a technique. Her method is not one that I had ever done previously. It made for really honestly very simple twisted stitches, no cable needle, and just super easy. Like I breezed through this pattern once I really got it going. Like once I got past the ribbing, it took me less than a week to knit this. And keep in mind that I don't knit all day. I have a full-time job, kids, inactivities, the whole gamut. So, yeah. Anyhow, so if I were to knit this again, I would not have added this about additional inch that she recommends for this size. I knit the medium sized hat. I would have just started the crown decreases following the pattern, but it's still very wearable and super cute. And I did knit the folded brim. So it looks super cute on me and on my kid. I think I will post a picture of him in it. It's not a great picture, and I always ask my kids' permissions first. So see how it like kind of poofs up here? So I kind of have to pull it back. An alternative option, maybe for me in particular, it is a little bit big now that I've had it blocked, would be to knit the size down. And that might resolve some of my issues too. But it still looks super cute and it's super warm. So the pattern, like I said, is incredibly well written. She's got written and charted instructions in here. She's got several modification tips, like you can do the folded brim with a provisional cast on, and then with those you do it in such a way that it knits the brim together here so you can't unfold it, which I've done before. I like either option. And yeah, I'd say the most probably complicated part of this pattern is that she does call for 3 different needle sizes. And I knit fairly loosely. And so I used a 2.5 rocket, Addy Rocket, a US 3 clover, which is on bamboo, and a US 4 in my Addy Clicks lace style. All of those are great needles. My gauge is fairly consistent across needle brands, but yeah, so that's what I used. Yarn. So I've talked about the hat, talked about the needles, yarn. I used just over half of a skein, as I keep looking at my notes here, of Baracco's Pixel yarn, and I looked and looked and looked before I made this video, but I could not find the label to save my life, even though I've been diligently keeping all of my labels in this handy little Dalmatian bag. Can't find it. So Baracco Pixel was a yarn that I picked up when I kind of was thinking about designing myself. It is a really pretty yarn, as you can see, and it has this lovely kind of gradient and speckle to it. And I would say even with the yellow background that this is fairly true to color. It is listed as a DK, but it is almost a sport weight. It's pretty thin. And one of the cool things that I thought was going to drive me crazy about it, but I actually really loved, is that it is, I don't want to lie to you, I'm pretty sure that this is a single ply. And it has kind of a hand spun quality to it. So there's sections that are thinner and sections that are thicker. But in the grand scheme of things, I was able to maintain my gauge. So yeah, like I said, I thought that that part of it was going to drive me crazy, but it didn't. So the Baracco Pixel yarn comes in a 328 yard hank, or 300 meters. And like I said, it's listed as a DK, and it is super wash wool. So you can wash it and dry it. This is in color 2203 coconut. And it is not currently a yarn that I think I have on order for the Swanky Mountain store if you're a local yarn shopper. But it is one that I can get in if you're interested, at least not at the making of this video. So, but it probably will be one that I carry in the future moving forward, especially now that I've knit with it and I can feel comfortable talking about it and answering questions about it. So there you have it, Balsam Point Hat. The pattern is already out, so you can hop over to Carrie's website or her Ravelry and grab your copy, because it's a super gender neutral hat and a great, like I said, next step for your beginner knitter, or just a fun, easy knit for everybody else. So stay warm out there. It's snowing here. Yay! And enjoy your fall knits.